Hey, good morning. This is Mayor Valensky with the driving markets. Maybe I should call it Corona markets because recently the responses I've had to the YouTube production when mentioning Corona have been significant. There's been, around about 70 or 80 responses to my recent YouTube productions on driving markets because I mentioned Corona, so you can see how sensitive it is and how emotional and animated people become when they talk about Corona. So let's put a few facts on the table. First of all, everything I say here is an opinion. I'm not a doctor, etc., etc. Let's go over some market stats first before we go into the issue of Corona again. Okay, so yesterday the markets were up across the board. Corona was discarded. Apple went down, Moderna went down. Moderna's down 18% for the week. Who else? Glaxo, Wellcome and Vir came out with initial trials on a vaccine for the new mutation of Omicron, and everyone liked it and the markets have gone up. Unemployment claims were at an all-time 52-year low. Everything's hunky-dory, everyone's happy, everyone's excited, and the markets went up. If you look at the markets, what you're going to have is a similar pattern to what happened at the beginning of the pandemic back in February, March 2020, when you've got one day down, one day up, one day down, one day up. All of this is due to the lack of certainty and the lack of clear information regarding where we are going with this pandemic and this recent Omicron 32 mutation virus. So, because of the lack of certainty, because of the lack of knowledge, then everyone is unsure what to do. The markets are swaying like a huge crowd going from left going to right. So each day they don't even know where they're going. The doctors don't know what they're doing. There's contradictory information from the experts. Some experts say this, some experts say that. Again, I'm not a medical expert, I'm not a doctor, but one thing for sure is that the vaccine itself is very, very unclear. It's unclear because no one knows for certainty what's going to happen going forward. And when you've got countries like Canada, who I've just heard this morning from one of my colleagues, is forcing people to have 2 jabs before you can leave the country, and countries like Israel closing down the whole airspace to tourists, then that causes panic and it causes uncertainty, and it's totally unfair. Talk about human rights. They should not be forcing anyone to take the vaccine. That is totally and utterly wrong, and that's where the anti-vaxxers are coming in, because they don't want to be forced, in terms of their freedom of choice, to be forced to do something which is totally uncalled for and absolutely against all the basis of democracy and free human rights. A person should be given the balanced choice as to what they do, how they do it, and when they do it, etc., etc. Now, the other thing we need to discuss is the actual trading in these markets. At the moment, there is no clear direction. So if you're going short, which means you're selling the market on things you don't own, or if you're going long, that you want to buy into stocks or indices or commodities, the market's so volatile that on a sixpence, on a small turn, it can change direction, and therefore it has no particular trend at this moment in time. So if you're a day trader or you are a swing trader, you should be looking to take profits when profits are there. Otherwise, you could find out that you're in profit at 9 o'clock in the morning and at a loss at 11 o'clock in the morning, and in profit at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and a loss at 2:30 in the afternoon. Take profits when they're there, because there's no clear direction. Again, there's no clear direction because the whole world is being misled by the pharmaceuticals and the politicians through absolute lack of absolute clarity and knowledge on what are we doing with this corona and this pandemic. So when you're trading, put on large stops, really wide stops, because markets are jumping all over the place, and ensure that you take profits when they are there. Okay, be clear to take profits when they're there. As regards the longer trend in my opinion is, when I talk about longer trend, I'm talking about the next month, 2 months. You've got several issues, which is the pandemic, which I've said about 50 times already. You've got inflation. inflation concerns, and you've got a general bubble being created through asset values being inflated so high that they're looking overbought. They look too high, and therefore you could have significant falls in the stock market, okay, greater than you've seen so far. This is my opinion. This is a warning. It's my opinion. This is how I see it. Okay, I don't see asset prices rising forever. Interest rates are low, but once interest rates start ticking up, you will see a fall away in the markets because money will be pulled out and put into secure deposit accounts. So just to recap, the pandemic, in my opinion, is a complete load of crap. It's a scam. It's a con. They're forcing us into do things that we shouldn't really be doing. Okay, that's number one. Markets are uncertain. Take profits quickly when they're there. Interest rates likely to rise. Inflation is continue going up. Everything looks bright and rosy. Don't jump off a bridge as a result of this YouTube. It's not that bad. Everything will turn around. But the idea is for you to trade, make some profits, provide for your family, enjoy the money. Happy Chanukah, Merry Christmas, and look forward to speaking to you soon.